Good morning. This is TMI Socials. Welcome on board. I am Nuoluwapo Stevens. Or better still call me a social media butterfly. Now, yesterday, social media was agog with a news trendy as we had it that Peter Nwachukwu, the husband of late gospel singer Osinachi Nwachukwu, has been sentenced to death by hanging by the Federal Capital Territory High Court sitting in Wuse Zone 2 right there in Abuja. Well, Justice Njideka Nwosu delivered a judgment on Monday after dismissing Nwachukwu's no-case submission. The court found him guilty of culpable homicide in connection with the death of his wife on April 8, 2022. Nwachukwu, who was arraigned on June 3, 2022, faced a 23-count charge filed by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. The charges included culpable homicide, spousal battery, cruelty to children, and criminal intimidation. Well, just in case you've forgotten who Osinachi is, here is a video to give you that reminder. Take a look. Well, may her gentle soul rest in peace. Amen. The late Osinachi there. Moving over to tweets and reactions to this trending story. Now, this first user on social media actually says, if we go over to our first tweet online this morning, this user says, "Dear women, please do not stay if there is violence. You might lose your life, your husband arrested and sentenced, and your kids become orphans and face stigmatization. Now, you see, it is better to be divorced than a dead woman with children that will be traumatized for life. It is well." Another user actually wrote on Instagram still. This one says, "This is the best judgment Nigeria court has ever given so far. This one sweets me." Well, still in the story, we move over to other tweets and reactions. Now, Ifeanyi says, "Finally, those kids don't even deserve this kind of father." Tell me about it. And then another user finally wrote online, "The kids will receive the full aftermath effect of this punishment than anyone else. Imagine losing their mom to domestic violence and dad to capital punishment. Honestly, I feel for the kids. What story would they tell of their parents? It is well." Oh, well, yes, indeed. Away from that to the political scene, as Delta State has been in the news trending, and yesterday Asaba was full of bigwigs, different bigwigs in the country, as we saw a major twist of political permutation ahead of the 2027 general election. The Delta State People's Democratic Party, PDP, led by Governor Sheriff Oborevwori and his predecessor, Ifeanyi Okowa, has officially joined the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. At a ceremony attended by a mammoth crowd at the Capitol yesterday, Oborevwori, Okowa, and others in the Oyo State were received into the APC days after they announced their decision to leave the PDP. At the event, the Delta State governor described the decision as historic. Oborevwori said the move to the APC was born out of the desire to get the best for the South State. Now, let's have a feel of how it was like with different bigwigs. I mean, we had Ned Nwoko there, we had the Delta State governor, we had Senator Adams Oshomole. The list was actually endless. Have a feel of how it was like yesterday in Delta State.
As one unit, the gatekeepers of the party. These are the gatekeepers of the party in Delta State. The three senators, are seated here. The only member of the House of Rep, the only seat we won, is here. And one unknown, sir. these are the gatekeepers, like I said, of the APC in Delta. Outside this group, there is no APC in Delta. If decisions are to be taken, these are the people that sit down with the state chairman to take a decision regarding APC. If anybody tells you otherwise, the person must be a comedian. We are here, sir, to wholeheartedly, 100% welcome you to the APC, sir. We welcome you unconditionally, sir.
Absolutely. Delta State has been beatified. Now, during the course of the event yesterday, here is what Sheriff Oborevwori, the governor of Delta State, had to say. Take a listen.
What you have seen here today is a movement. It's not a defection. It's a movement. We have done consultation with the National Assembly, with leadership, with stakeholders at the state level, at the senatorial level, at the local government level, at the ward level. And we all decided that we must all join. We are not Kobona. Are you Kobona? This is data.
Absolutely, this is Delta. It's a movement, not a defection. You've heard it loud and clear. Moving over to tweets. That's what you have been saying online regarding this movement and not defection. We can start with this user online who wrote, people died every hour in the middle belt part of Nigeria, but this so-called leader, whom are supposed to protect, are busy playing politics. We deserve this. Really? Well, another user on Instagram wrote, I see mass defection of northern APC governors to a different party soon. Just wait for northern agenda. Honestly, we're looking forward to that one. Now, this user says, this is happening because our judiciary that is supposed to protect democracy has fallen. Now, finally on the story, this user says, politics is a very dirty and selfish game. Now, speaking about politics, away from politics, there was a viral video of our Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and here is what he had to say. Well, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has said that poverty is not a crime and that it can sometimes be considered as a virtue. Well, Akpabio stated this while speaking from Rome after attending the funeral of Pope Francis. Take a listen to him.
To Nigerians.
Well, if you it's not just a great event to the world, but I think it was an event that shook the world. When you look at the Catholic Church is not just a church. The Vatican is also regarded as a state. So you have a head of state that died and was buried today. You also have the pontiff that headed this flock all over the world, well over 1.5 billion in number. And you have a man who died as a man today, the Pope, who was worth only $100, showing that yes, we cannot worship God in splendor, and that the best way to worship God is to worship God through self-sacrifice for others. So the message is very clear, that Nigerians should love one another, and that poverty is not a crime, and that poverty could sometimes be a virtue of God, and that whatever you have, you should be able to share with your brothers and sisters. And above all, in this period of that Easter just ended, we coincided with the Salah. It's all about God. That yes, indeed, that love should.
There you have it. Poverty is not a crime, it's a virtue. Share with your fellow Nigerian citizen. Away from that, let's move over to tweets and see how you reacted to this one. Trust social media users. This one says, poverty can never be a virtue at any time. Pop was not poor. He displayed restraint in the midst of plenty. His net worth may not be in billions, but he lacked nothing. Virtue is when you have but refuse to be controlled by what you have. Poverty is that you don't have, home and abroad. Therefore, you can be controlled by anything. Oga President, poverty can never be a virtue. Now that's Nefil on Instagram saying that one. Moving over to this user who says, yes, poverty isn't a crime. The crime is when the politicians steal, embezzle from the nation, citizens, and create poverty and suffering. That is the crime. Well, still on this trending video, another user wrote, but one pastor said, Jesus, no like poor people, though. Which one? We go take, no. Well, if you know, you know. I feel like social media really never forgets anything. But away from that, moving over to another interesting viral conversation on social media, where we saw suspended Senator Natasha Oduaga has penned a mock apology to the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, highlighting alleged improprieties and power dynamics within the legislative body. Well, the later posted on her social media pages entitled "Sarcastically Apology Letter Drips with Sarcasm," as it criticized what she describes as the entitlement culture among some high-ranking members of the Senate. Now, that's the letter there, and it has been on the front pages of social media. But let's move over to tweets and see your reactions on this interesting development. This user, Chioma, says, when truth speaks, corruption trembles. Proud of you, Senator Natasha. Well, another user wrote, unafraid, unbought, unbroken, Natasha Pures Hather. Now, finally, on the story, this user also says, moving over to order tweets, this one says, but for once, this lady must have got every reason for actions. People keep insulting her and calling her names, asking for evidence, but no one would be so confident in dragging a person out like this if she has no evidence. It is well. Now, finally, we move over to Lagos State, where a Lagos State governor has been in the news lately. Now, this time around, dragging Peter Obi, the Lagos State governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has lashed out at the Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, accusing him of lacking the moral authority to speak on poverty issues in Nigeria. In a statement personally signed entitled, factually addressing Mr. Peter Obi's criticism of Nigeria at Johns Hopkins University, Sanwo-Olu faulted Obi's remarks during a lecture at the university where the former Anambra State governor compared Nigeria's poverty situation with that of China and Vietnam, blaming leadership failures for Nigeria's decline. Sanwo-Olu condemned Obi's comment as unpatriotic and alleged that Obi's tenure as Anambra State governor worsened poverty levels. Citing statistics, Sanwo-Olu stated that the poverty rate in Anambra rose from 41.4% to 53.7% during Obi's administration. Now, netizens, of course, reacted to the story. Obedience also reacted to the story, and we move over to see what you have been saying on this one. Well, we can start with Blessing, who says, a party that hates criticism, yet has refused to perform well or hear the cry of the people. Another user also wrote on a line. This one says, sometimes I wonder if this is democracy or authoritarian. What is even the work of the Senate, House of Assembly members, House of Representatives as well? What are their jobs and decisions regarding the issues in Nigeria? Or are they just occupying seats and eating salaries? Big question there. Moving over to other tweets. On the story, this user says, Sanwo-Olu will make a better president than this Twitter president with the waka up and down, referring to Peter Obi right there. And then on this one, finally, this user wrote on a line, if we could have another tweet. Well, this one says, so we have Nigeria citizens who have the right to criticize the government, and we have some who can't. Make it make sense to me, Philip. A lot of things currently happening now on social media.
Well, basically, when we get the stories from the social media, it's like a storm in the teacup. And I must say that we can but continue to unpack the stories. Beautiful one there, and there's much we can take on today's episode of TMI.